Production.
Hey guys, what's going on? Good to see you. Hope you guys are doing well. You know, there's a lot to be said, man. There's a lot to be said. You know, I said yesterday on Twitter that obviously I was going to upload today. You know, the video will be up today. And the funny thing is, I didn't record at that moment. And it's not because I didn't want to. No. I didn't hit record because I simply didn't know how to really start this video. Granted, there is a lot on my mind. There is a lot I need to pack in this video. So this video might be longer than expected, but we'll get to that in a second. But there's a lot, obviously, that needs to be said. You know, it's wild because you would think after about 2 years of me telling you what was happening in this industry, especially in regards to PlayStation, you would think after the, you know, for the past 2 years of dudes who don't even game on PlayStation, crickers, you know, and many others trying to label me as a damn grifter, even though my PSN speaks volumes. You know, you had dudes for the years trying to cancel me and all this other shit. You had dickheads, you know, virgins that making forums, trying to fact check me only to get fact checked themselves. And ironically, the whole site gets fact checked and the whole fucking Twitter, their Twitter goes bye-bye. Oh yeah, there's a lot to be said, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot to be done. But one thing I've always said on this channel, one thing I've always been committed to on this channel, especially when I first started YouTube, is to not only stand on business when it needs to be stand, but to always be 100% with you guys, especially in times where we need to be honest. One thing you'll always be able to track back with this channel, even in my most hyped phase ever, which was the launch of the PS5. I was honest, like you guys are seeing here. A lot of people were being dishonest, and a lot of people were just following the hype train and just trying to, you know, in hopes of gaining subs and traction. I called this out from the beginning as soon as we saw the $70 price tag on games, and the moment we got lied to at the start of this generation when Sony was advertising Miles Morales as if it was exclusive to PS5, only to find out that it was a cross-gen title. Dude's like, oh, well, you don't know how marketing works. You don't know how business works. And I'm like, huh? So that was already a red flag. I knew we were in for a weird generation, especially when I had dudes really questioning me doing 3-hour podcasts, especially at that time, about how my point when I said, listen, when you ask for more money out of these these games, you're gonna have a harder time selling said games. What do these same idiots say to you? Oh, get a new tax bracket. Oh, get another job. Oh, you know, gaming is an expensive hobby, sure, but it's one of those hobbies that, you know, it's a luxury hobby. You gotta pay to be a part of the elites and all this dumb shit. And I'm like, okay. Our first game that we got for PlayStation 5 at the launch was fucking Destruction All-Stars. Dude saying we're paying for quality. Destruction All-Stars was complete ass cheeks. Complete ass cheeks. Dude's like, oh, it looks good to me. I'm going to buy it for $7. The numbers come out. Nobody bought the shit. So what did Sony do? They struck a deal with them. They put it in PS Plus. All of a sudden, dudes want to play it. And mind you, this is PS Plus before we got to the price hikes and the ridiculous tier system, which, again, is even more stupid. But I digress. We fast forward throughout this generation, right? We've had game after game after game that have been canceled. We've had games that could have and should have done phenomenal based on the hype that the game was receiving on social media. This just goes to what I said prior, like since the start of this generation, that dudes just love to be a part of the conversation. And keep that in mind. That is exactly what the problem has always been. There's too many people who want to be a part of the conversation as opposed to being part of the solution. The solution is simple. If you want your games to stay exclusive, you must swipe left on that credit card and buy said games. A lot of you hype these games up. You hype them up day one, You use them as ammo in this console war, and then when it comes to time to actually put those wallets up and swipe left and support the devs, like a lot of you fucking claim you do, you don't do. I've called this out for over 4 years. I've been calling that out. And only 2 years now, I've been fucking just more aggressive with it because I'm getting tired of it. We have said goodbye to more studios than we've ever had in the history of PlayStation's history. This is literally the worst. The PS3 generation, despite having one of the worst starts in PlayStation's history, Sony did not say goodbye to this many fucking studios. They did not cancel this many fucking games. The fact that Sony dropped 15 times more games, new games especially, in the PS3 generation, a generation where many, analysts, many fucking investors were betting that Sony was going to go out of business because of how much money they were losing because of the change in trend with everything as the world went. Remember, Sony was number one. They had Walkmans, they had their TV, they had all that stuff. All that stuff was selling back then. Obviously, things have changed. And they got left behind, and they had to cut losses and cut back on all that stuff and change their entire infrastructure from, all the Walkman store that to PlayStation number one and TVs, etc. number two. This was one of the worst times in PlayStation's history, and yet they still drop banger after banger after banger. The amount of trying, you can tell Sony wanted it. With the PS3 generation, Sony tried day in and day out. They were throwing content at us non-stop. It was insane. You look at the PS4 generation, Sony knew they had to redeem themselves. They came out with a better solution with the controller in terms of, a better style. They came out, they had their own swag in a sense. They even did social media integration with PS4 and all this cool stuff. Sony also went to the extra mile of making sure games were actually there. We had one game for each quarter of the year during the PS4 generation. Now we're at this point where we're playing Russian roulette with PS5 in regards to whether or not we're going to get a game at all. And to the dudes, before we get to this point, before we get into what's happened, before the dudes go to this ridiculous, and I mean ridiculous, timeline of trying to damage control everything that I'm about to say, I really think you might want to shut the fuck up and just listen. Okay? I told you before, and this is my last time telling you, the old regime of PlayStation is gone. Jack Tritton is not there anymore. Adam Boyes is not there anymore. My man Gio Corsi, he's now with Nintendo. He's not there anymore. Kaz Hirai, who oversaw the company's change, is not there anymore, along with Andrew House and Sean Layton. Everybody, all these guys that I've mentioned used to run the company in the best interest of the gamer. The reason why I say in the best interest of the gamer, because remember, these guys knew that gamers bought new consoles for newer experiences. That was their main mantra. They knew they had to show out for the gamer. That was the number one reason why we loved PlayStation. It was so innovative. We saw so many fucking games. We're in the PS5 generation where we have more fucking controller variations than fucking new games. We got games being launched with more pronouns than fucking players playing it. We got a fucking community that is so ass backwards that if you say 1 ounce of fucking criticism about this fucking brand, mind you, you can be a PlayStation-centric channel for years. You can be a fucking PlayStation fucking just mascot in a sense. But the moment you call out a fucking problem, such as us being swindled with fucking price hikes and fucking subscription hikes, us being fucking played like fucking fools when a fucking company is dropping nothing but fucking garbage ass modes as opposed to giving you updates for shit that you want. The fact that we gotta tune in to news for a fucking TV show to get somewhat of an inkling of what's happening with the main games of a studio is fucking ludicrous. Dudes over here talking about Big Cloud has a vendetta against The Last of Us. Let me tell you something. Not only have I platinum Last of Us 1, I platinum Last of Us 2. I bought the re-release of Last of Us 1 when they first did it, and that was it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I refuse to be a fucking simp like you and buy the same fucking game 7 fucking times and accept that as new. There is nothing new about repackaging this same fucking game. And the sad part is, dickheads try to put Last of Us in that same conversation. Oh, it is different. Look at it. Stuff moves on the table when he jumps in and he gets behind cover. I'm sorry, it's the same fucking game. It's the same fucking story. If you're jumping out of your seat over pebbles and little fucking shit falling off the shelves, then excuse me, why the fuck are you against everybody, especially me, who wanted fucking prone mechanics and dodge mechanics from Last of Us 2 into Last of Us 1, especially when we got bamboozled by Naughty Dog when they told us the game was going to be redone, especially for PlayStation 5. Huh? What happened? Oh, dude's like, oh, well, that would have changed the whole point of the game. No fucking shit. That's the fucking point, especially when you're asking for $70 fucking for the same fucking game, especially when you're removing a feature that many people fucking loved, including myself, which was factions. What was dude saying? Oh, don't worry, it's going to have factions. This is going to tie us over for Last of Us Factions 2. As soon as factions wasn't shown, what did dude say? Well, we don't need factions. We got factions 2 coming in the horizon. Besides, you just want to complain, Big Cloud. You know, we don't need that sort of thing. Factions 2, it'll make up for it. Until then, just enjoy the game for what it was. And as far as your criticism in regard to the single-player version of this game, it doesn't need dodge and prone mechanics. The game was great the way it is. These same dickheads who said this shit, 90% of these cocksuckers didn't buy the fucking game. Hence why we're here today. There's so much. There's so much I can say, bro. There's so much I can say. There's so much I could do with this video. There's so many people that can get the fucking work today. There's so many people that can fall like flies. The thing is, I don't give a shit. I told you guys, I don't give a shit anymore. I simply don't. I'm watching this fucking shit, this shit show happen. I'm seeing dudes go through the fucking 9. I was going to say the 9 stages. You might as well say it's like the 9 stages of grief, the way these motherfuckers are acting. Motherfuckers are using ChatGPT to write fucking novels on Twitter, trying to damage control what the fuck was said in the news that we about to break down. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and talk about it. So if you haven't heard by now, which would be incredible if you didn't hear, but if you haven't heard by now, Sony is hiring a senior director for multi-platform and account management. This right here went completely viral. And the reason why it went viral is because the job listing pretty much talked about expanding all PlayStation games to Steam, Epic, Xbox, Nintendo, and mobile. Now, for me, this wasn't shocking at all because, again, I've been paying close attention like a lot of you should have been paying attention. What have I been asking you for the past 2 years? Be mindful. Be open. You know what I'm saying? Don't fall for these hype situations at all. Seriously, think about it. We have had more updates for Baby Steps than we've had for any other new game. That right there should tell you a very fucking vivid picture of what the fuck how bad things are. But back on topic. So, if you've been paying attention to everything in regards to PlayStation, you notice that PlayStation talked about this thing called Beyond. In fact, the word Beyond has been in most of their fucking advertisements for most of their shit. They talk about Beyond the console. One of the first things they showed was them showing attraction pieces. They were showing off mobile, playing the games on the go with these VR sunglasses or whatever the case may be. They were talking about like a utopia type of future where everything was connected. This went over everybody's head saying, oh, well, it doesn't mean day and date. That just means that this is going to be their own infrastructure. No, you stupid fuck. They're done catering to console war fucking clowns who don't buy shit. You want an example of people not buying shit? Look at fucking Death Stranding 2. Nobody's talking about Death Stranding 2, but you know what they are doing? They sure are fucking glazing that the game was number 2 or number 1 on the fucking top sellers charts, and that was it. The game sold 1.4 million within 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Fucking Stellar Blaze sold over 1 million within 3 days on Steam. What are we doing here? You got 70 million consoles out here sold, and y'all can't even fucking... Y'all look stupid. Y'all think... Y'all really don't look at the glass full. Y'all look at a slither full and think you know every fucking thing. I'm sorry, but there's a big gap here, and you're not looking at this gap here. A lot of you are not supporting what the fuck you are talking about. A lot of you would rather lie, like ironically Xbox fanboys beforehand, right? The denial phase, you will lie that the future is changing. You will lie that change was coming. But I've been telling you, I've been showing you the mirror right in front of you. And what happened? You don't like what you see. You don't like this. You don't like the hypocrites that you've become. The hypocrisy that you guys feed yourselves and have pushed out for years is the reason why we're in this situation. And you know what's even more funny? Dickheads who came at me for years and probably made live stream, whatever the case may be, these motherfuckers did a full 180. Instead of pointing the finger at me, they're pointing the finger at you, their audience, the ones they've been fucking lying to for the longest time in the hopes of getting super chats and fucking memberships. The motherfuckers have been telling you, are now telling you that you're the problem because you're not buying the games. Gee, I wonder who the fuck they sound like. I wonder who the hell they sound like. But just remember, who is here for the past 2 to 3 years being honest, telling it like it is, not giving a fuck about a super chat, not giving a fuck about a channel member or membership, excuse me. I literally have stood on this fucking ground and I've been honest and will continue to do so. Why? Because I made a promise to myself when I did YouTube, I will not build a fucking hive mind mentality fucking community. Let me tell you something. Everybody in my chat and everybody in my chat who watches me knows you can disagree with me on a fucking day-to-day basis. It's just the way you come at me. Come at me with facts. Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? If there's something we can debate about, we can debate about it. It is what it is. It's not even a big problem. But when you go personal, when you go to these extreme fucking links of trying to fucking just literally in a weird way, it's kind of like a hate mob, right? But when you go to these extreme cases of trying to cancel and all this dumb shit, that is why I block and I don't look back. That is why I close doors and I never open. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because this shit is all over fucking video games. Weirdos like who do shit like this and go to these fucking stupid extremes, the virgins who infest this fucking hobby, crying about fucking characters having nude mods and fucking PC. Granted, they'll never buy the PC version and don't even know how the fucking shit works. All these dickheads, even the dickheads using concurrent numbers on Steam to try and damage control sales, all these dickheads have taken so many L's, and I had the funnest day possible exposing all this. I had so much fun exposing all this. The fact that the one platform that dickheads are now claiming or have convinced themselves is not a platform to try and make themselves feel good is the only platform that's actually supporting the fucking PlayStation games that you guys deep throat day one on when they get shown. So just think about this for a second here. Going back to this post. Yeah, this video is going to be a minute. So going back to this post. Sony's hiring for a senior director, obviously, or senior what was it? Excuse me, give me a second. Yeah, senior director of multi-platform and account management. So everybody's watching this. I'm like, oh, I already know what this means. But of course, we can't have a moment like this without some of the funniest shit possible. I'm gonna put this on the screen for you. And then I'm going to show you something that's absolutely hilarious. But first, let's go ahead and put on the screen. Look at this dude right here. This dude, William Aguilar. Now, this dude right here, I've been noticing a trend with this guy. Every time there is something related to PlayStation that, you know, that's just fucking like, you know, that fucking in regards to them being like Microsoft, this motherfucker always comes out the fucking shadows and has some fucking shit to say, some bullshit to say. It's now gotten to the point where he used ChatGPT to make this bullshit fucking post of fucking to try and discredit what's happening. First of all, let's go ahead and read. Let's just read a little bit of this. It says, correcting misunderstanding on the Sony Interactive Entertainment job listing for Senior Director Multi-Platform Account Management. Note that this first responsibility to job listing is to oversee the out-of-year mid-range commercial strategy for PlayStation Studio titles across all non-PlayStation platforms, driving long-term revenue growth and audience reach. This means they are not going to bring their games to other storefronts/platforms until a minimum of 1 to 2 years. Now, you know what's funny? If I go to the fucking job listing, right? If I go to the job listing, not once does Sony even mention anything about live service. They don't mention anything about, their passion projects. They flat out say all PlayStation games. Why do you think they're saying all PlayStation games? I'll tell you why they're saying all PlayStation games. Because the whole slate is coming and it's going everywhere. PlayStation is tired of having games launch and have nothing to show for it. That is why. Sony wants the Nintendo type of money, or the Nintendo type of attachment rate with their games. But guess what? They're also willing to embrace what they always could be. And that's a third-party publisher in the midst of this. Why do you think Sony's pushing so many deals out here in regards to third-party relations, and they're forming capital alliances with Katakawa? Sony knows there is too much fucking money in multi-platform, as opposed to locking it down for a year and going off of the whim of it possibly selling within a community that has flat out told you numerous times throughout the year that they don't want to buy the games that they hype up. Why would they do this? But to go back to this point, he said this is from that's what he had to say about the whole thing. Here's the fun fact about this, okay? Here's a fun fact. Everything that is used in this bullshit thread is from a fucking meeting that was said 2 years ago. What has happened since the past 2 years? Not only has Sony completely opened the door, Sony has now opened their door to Xbox and everything of that nature. This entire situation is even more funny. But here's where it gets hilarious. I'm not even going to read this entire quote. Instead, I'm going to read something for you that you're going to laugh your asses off. So it turns out, dudes actually went and did the exact same thing that this clown did with ChatGPT. The only difference is, though, they fact-checked his actual post using the ChatGPT. And look what it says here, people. Let's go ahead and put it on the screen. You ready? All right, here we go. So it says, check one, what the job listing actually says. Play critical leadership role in shaping and executing the global commercial strategy of PlayStation for PlayStation Studio software titles across all digital platforms, PlayStation hardware, including Steam, Epic, Game Store, Xbox, Nintendo, and mobile. Point-by-point analysis of mismatches. And here we go. Misleading claim number one. This means they are not going to bring their games to other storefronts / platforms until a minimum of 1 to 2 years. Why it's inaccurate. The job post uses the phrase mid to long range planning, not out of year, as the poster interprets. Mid to long range refers to business strategy planning timelines, not game release windows. The job involves expanding business to non-PlayStation platforms now, not waiting 1 to 2 years for every title. Correction. Nowhere does the job listing restrict multi-platform plans to a 1 to 2 year delay. In fact, it says across all digital platforms, indicating some titles may not be launching sooner or day one, depending on strategy. Misleading claim number two. It all depends on the type of game, followed by 3 tiers. Why it's misleading? This is a rehash of Sony's prior strategy and past segmentation from 2023, not a reflection of the current shift signaled by the job post. The job listing implies a holistic multi-platform strategy across all PlayStation Studios titles, not just multiplayer or experimental games. Correction. While game type may influence timing, the platform reach is no longer as restricted as before. All genres may now be considered for broader multi-platform releases, depending on business objectives. Unsubstantiated claim number 3. Single player narrative tempo games will not go to other platforms day one. Why it's flawed? Sony has not ruled out day one launches elsewhere. The job listing expands commercial strategy to all digital platforms with no genre specific limitation stated. The job implies proactive multi-platform revenue approach, not one that maintains previous exclusivity policies. Correction. There is no guarantee anymore that single player titles will remain PlayStation exclusive for 1 to 2 years. That old rule is being reevaluated as part of the new multi-platform leadership role. Faulty logic number 4. Hiring someone to manage this doesn't change the strategy. Why it contradicts itself? Sony is changing its strategy. That's why this role now exists. The role's existence directly signals an operational shift from primarily hardware-driven to platform-agnostic commercial growth. Correction: the higher is the change. Sony is institutionalizing multi-platform strategy as a core part of its business. Then he goes misleading framing 5. Sony is a hardware company versus Microsoft is a software company. Yeah, this is probably one of the dumbest things he said in this post. Both of them are hardware and software company, but anyway. We're gonna go here. He says, why it's outdated. Sony's latest earnings calls and investor briefings explicitly state that software and services are their growth priority, not hardware. The new job position reflects Sony's aim to monetize IP beyond consoles, just like Microsoft already does. Correction: both companies are transitioning towards services and software revenue models, and Sony is embracing multi-platform releases more seriously than ever before. Ouch. Ouch. It goes a little further here. And don't worry, we're at the end. Don't worry. Because this dude wrote a whole fucking novel. So let's go ahead and finish this off. These all just get completely, okay? So here we go. Incorrect, implication 6. They only have one port studio, Nixus, so they can't do multi-platform day one. Why this is wrong? Nixus is just one porting solution. Sony can and already does partner with external studios for simultaneous development. Helldivers 2, for example. The purpose of the new hire is to scale this effort across platforms, not remain limited. Correction: Sony's growing multi-platform ambitions will likely require more porting capabilities and partnerships, which this role would help manage. Final summary. Claim: accurate notes. Games won't come to other platforms until 1-2 years. Like basically everything's getting checked there as wrong. Oh shit. And then it says, bottom line, the original post clings to Sony's past strategy while ignoring the clear signals of change embedded in the new job listing, which expands PlayStation Studios' commercial strategy to include all digital platforms, Steam, Epic, Xbox, Nintendo, and mobile, and does so not just reactively, but proactively and strategically. Multi-platform PlayStation is no longer hypothetical. It's a hiring priority. And there you go. There you go. My man wrote an entire novel, an entire book using ChatGPT only to get fucking completely his back blown out in regards to this. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the links people have gone for this. But like I told you, man, it all comes down to money. And I hate to break it to you, but dudes would rather talk about games. Dudes would rather use them to try and come at me and Jack Move and all this bullshit. But when it comes to actually buying the games, supporting the games, they're nowhere to be found. And keep in mind too, games are now $80. So, let me just throw these two things out here, and I'm gonna end this. All right, this video is about to get 30 minutes, but hey, I mean, I just gotta be honest. Look at Returnal. Guys, remember the bullshit I went through with Returnal? Before I had one of the developers on here who I became good friends with, and I became good friends with Housemarque. Yes, despite everything that I've said on this channel, I have good connections and relationship with PlayStation. Imagine that. Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, me being good friends with Housemarque, me being honest with Housemarque about me saying, listen, what does this game do that's so good? Remember, this was at $70. This game, when it first was shown, and you look at Returnal, nobody talks about Returnal. You have my man Kofi trying to remind people how good Returnal is, but that's another story. Nobody's talking about Returnal. Returnal came out, it was $70. Remember, beforehand, dude was like, oh, Big Cloud, you're just a hater, you're an idiot, you don't know what it is, it's going to be this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. Okay, game comes out. Guess what? The game only sells 700,000 copies on PlayStation 5 hardware. It then went multi-plat with PC and then was able to hit over 1 million. This game was $70, people. The same motherfuckers hyping up the new game from fucking Housemarque, Soros. Guess what? The price tag on that game is going to be $80. So if the first game didn't sell at $70, what makes you think Soros is going to sell at $80? Think about that. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is where I'm going to end this video. I just want to say, listen, despite everything we went through on this channel, despite everything I've said, and despite, everything leading up to this point, listen, just remember who was honest and who wasn't. You got dudes giving you fucking essays in terms of responses. You got dudes crashing out, completely sounding like fucking hypocrites in their own videos. You got dudes that make fun about Xbox dudes day in and day out, only to sound like said Xbox dude in videos. This is how bad dudes have went out over social media, and not just social media, but YouTube. I have told you numerous times, it is happening, and now we're here. It is Judgment Day, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you guys are ready for the ride. But right now, me, like I told you guys I was going to do, I was going to game and relax, and that's exactly what I did in my absence. I just want to say I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Those that do rock with me, those that do support, those that do understand what I'm here for. To all the Xbox dudes that ironically, it's crazy, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I've become friends literally with all Xbox dudes in the mix of this. And dudes might say, oh, you're doing that because you switched. No, because I'm honest. I have had numerous good debates and conversation with dudes who are Xbox dudes. Beforehand, it used to be PlayStation. PlayStation dudes have become the old mindset of Xbox dudes in the past, where it was denial and dudes that don't want to move on past barriers. Dudes are that committed to try and keep a fucking money train going in regards to fucking super chats and all this bullshit, but not a single one of these motherfuckers want to really look at the fucking glass, which is half full, and want to look at it, go, damn, you know what? Yeah, I might be getting super chats, but this hobby might be going bye-bye. So that really kind of destroys me as a whole. It kind of does, because it will destroy you as a whole. Because guess what? Sony caught on to this. They know they're going to get destroyed as a whole if they keep listening to dickheads who don't buy games. And that is why multi-platform was inevitable. So, day one releases, we'll see how this goes. PlayStation 6 is definitely going to be an interesting situation. I'm not sure if they're going to do it for PS6, but who knows? But we shall see. But I do know this thing. With them saying that PS6 is the top priority, I do expect PS6 to be a hybrid console, very similar to what Microsoft is going to do with Steam integration. This would be the smartest route Sony would do, as opposed to embracing everything and opening everything up with their ecosystem and getting everything as simple and flush, so that gamers have the option of going from console and upgrading the PC and having everything transfer over, and you have an easier way to play your games and go about things. Sony doesn't even have a simple solution for backwards compatibility, so I really do think this is something they should be working on. But that's just me. That's another video for another time. I know this video is long, so my apologies, but hope you guys enjoy. Thank you guys for your patience. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one, and I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm out of here, all right? Peace.